Okay, we are back. So, I did read a teeny little bit about you, and it did say that you raised children as a single parent.
I don't know if my kids are not.
How
Yes.
well? How many kids do you have?
I have two. I
Me
have a
too.
boy and a girl.
Okay, you got the pair.
I got the pair, and as in Chinese, they would say "ho," meaning good.
Ah.
Back end.
But you were born in New York.
I was the only one in my of the first one of my family to be born in America.
And how many siblings you mean?
I only have a sister, and she was born in China. She lives here now.
What part of China?
The southern China, which we used to know as Canton, or
Okay.
now it's known as Guangzhou, but it's actually a little village out of that called Taisan.
So do you speak Chinese?
Taisanese.
All I know is what I need.
It's
Yeah.
Mo'oine.
Well, that's all I know. You knew what I meant,
Yes.
though. There
It
you
means
go.
I love you.
It does. I know that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. So have you visited China?
Once.
Once.
Many years ago, before it became whatever it is now, which is
A mega.
Yeah.
Now it's Blade Runner. I
I
just
know,
think
it
of
is.
Blade Runner. I love that movie. I just think of that movie
Harrison
all
Ford.
the time, and how
Harrison.
everything in the background was in Chinese, and that the
True.
world was turning into that.
Well, I used to tell people, I said, go ahead, tease me, because I grew up in Spanish Harlem.
Okay,
So I said, do whatever you want. I said, but I'll be a part of the majority of the world, and you're not.
it's true. It's true. Well, Spanish, Chino, that whole Chino Latino thing is
Yeah, but they treated me like I was the low man.
Then.
Yeah.
right.
But
But-
we're bigger than them now.
Yeah.
We're bigger than them outside of the room, now we're even bigger.
Wow. So you grew up so you were the first American born in the family. Grew up in Spanish Harlem. Fall into Apple, and then hang out with John and Yoko. Have some kids.
Right, and the guy that I married is Tony Visconti,
Right.
who I divorced, but he, of course, was the producer for David Bowie and
Space Oddity, right
Yeah.
there. Exactly. Maybe that's what I was feeling.
Mark Bolan. And
Wow. So what was that like? Did you live in London, or did you?
I
live,
did.
Were the kids born in England?
One of them.
Okay.
One of them did.
So did they have little accents, or were they
No.
like Jane and Michael Banks? Did they have a Mary Poppins?
No,
No.
no. They just came back. I wish, no, but
Right.
no, they came back here to live, and but it was great. But my son went to school and graduated from Bolton University in England.
Ah, that's so. Was he the one born there?
Yes.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah, he wanted to be an animator, and I thought, let me give him something other than being in America.
Right.
So I shipped him over there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So were they raised in Spanish Harlem, or did you move
No,
out of there?
I
You
moved
moved
out.
out of there.
I moved. I'm just a little bit outside of the city. Once you had the second kid, which is my daughter, then it was like the apartment was not
Yeah.
big enough.
All right, so back to John and Yoko. So you actually, it said, Yoko asked you to take her place, basically.
Sort of, yes.
During a break of John and
Right,
Yoko.
and everybody thought I went because she said so, and that's not true.
Oh, okay.
No, I did not. We sat across, and it was like before my first cup of coffee in the morning, and I'm just looking at, and she says, I got something to discuss with you. So I'm thinking, it's another project. So I got my pad, my pen, and I'm ready. And she goes, John and I are not getting along. And I'm sitting there thinking, I said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And I'm thinking, God, do we all know it? Because you
Right.
feel it. It was very heavy around the house. And she goes, he's going to start seeing other people. And I'm thinking, oh God, now we have somebody else in the mix,
Right.
Him, her, and the X Factor. So I'm sitting there, as she's talking to me, this is all running through my head, and she goes, you don't have a boyfriend. And I look up, and I'm like, I'm not looking for anybody. It's okay.
Right.
She goes, no, I think you should have one. John would be good for you. I said, no.
Oh.
So this went on, and she says, well, I think you should. And she gets up and she walks out of the room. And I'm now freaking out, because I'm sitting there going, I'm not interested.
Ah.
I've known them now
Right.
3 years.
Yeah,
It's not somebody I want to date, or even think about, or that he even liked me in that way. So
Right.
it was never in my mind. We ended up, like, around the house was very awkward to work. It was fine. I'm freaking out, he's freaking out, because I realized.
So she still lived there? They just took a break in the bedroom, but she didn't move out?
No, she didn't move out, and so in the end, no, in fact, everybody thought that she sent us to LA. It's not true. We left for LA, because John then decided to pursue himself, and that's actually when it started.
And was he a nice
Yes,
quarter?
yes, he was a nice boy.
He was charming
But
Englishman.
of course, when he started, the first time he kissed me, I was sitting there going, stand over on the other side. We were in the middle of recording, stand over the other side of the room, don't come near me. And I just couldn't handle that.
Right. Well, it's huge.
Right, and so then he kept pursuing.
And then you gave in.
I gave in.
How could you not give
Yeah,
in?
and then-
It's
then-
freaking John Lennon.
And then he wrote a song about it.
Is Whatever Gets You Through the Night?
No, it's
Oh.
actually Surprise, Surprise for Bird of Paradise.
Ah. Wow.
So I didn't know what it was. The next day, when he wrote the song, he says, come in here. And I said, well, he had his office. And he says, I want you to hear this. He picked up the guitar and he played, like he had written 3 lines, 4 lines, and he just sang it to me.
So do you feel that these memories feel like a long time ago, or do they feel like yesterday, or like does it ever like disappear? I mean,
It's-
is
you know what,
it
it's
stay with
combination.
you all the time?
It's always there.
Yeah,
Because
it's huge.
Because you don't, first off, I have John everywhere.
Right.
Whether it's in my house, and I don't have him all the time, but now it's there because I did the book.
Right.
But it's also every song you hear.
Yeah.
I mean, like for instance, Number 9 Dream. I sing on it. That's my vocals.
Ah.
But if people would think it's Yoko, that's a natural
Right,
assumption.
right.
She made the video and it's her face, but it's my voice. As I call it, it's the Milli Vanilli moment.
Right. Aw.
But, you know, it is me.
Yes.
So for all that, it's always around. You know?
Sure.
So how do you know, you can't get away from it, so I embrace it as more than to say, I want to forget it.
Right. Well, of course.
No, but and the things that John and I did, now everybody calls it the lost weekend. Wasn't he drunk? I'm not saying he didn't get drunk, but he didn't get drunk out of the way it was said it was. Because you keep reading, it's only like a couple of incidents. And I tell people, what would you want? Let's see, Harry Nielsen, or is it John Lennon? Which one's going to make the better copy in the newspaper? They're not picking.
Right.
They're not picking Harry.
Right. Of course. So, do you have a little skeleton in the closet from those days, like a little dirty ditty that happened with you and John, or you and Yoko, or whatever, or you and anybody, Tony? It doesn't matter.
No, I mean the things that basically almost everybody else, and anything else that's really private will stay private.
That's fine. But would you like to try some cotton candy? It is Cotton Candy Day, and we'd love to share some with you. And where do people find the book? And how do people get the book?
Well, you know, they can Amazon might have it, Barnes and Noble. There's hardly any bookstores anymore.
I know, it's all online.
And you know, even my own site, maypang.com. You know, I know you have another guest here.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of people. I just met up with Robert Rosen.
Yes.
Who said we met once before. That's how long ago. I don't even remember.
Well, there's your skeleton right
That's
there.
right.
There
You
you
know,
go. See?
It was kind of funny. He says, we met once before. I said, we did. That's it.
Uh-oh. Was it that drunk weekend?
No, I don't drink.
Ah, but
But-
did you
What
then?
is that?
I said he was sober.
I was sober.
Ah.
That's the whole thing. But it was just too many people around.
Yeah.
And it was like, it just didn't. I know who else. If Rick Dufay was there, then also Myra Scherer was there.
I don't remember.
See? That's it.
Wait, the red shoes?
What?
Mira Shearer?
No, Myra.
Oh,
No,
okay.
she's a
All right.
publicist.
Oh,
Because
there you go.
that was her boyfriend. That would be the reason. See?
Wow. Well, are there any last shout outs you'd like to say, or is there anything you know, want
Well,
to
you know what? I
send
want
it to-
everybody to realize that it wasn't a lost weekend. It was the most productive time period.
Right.
Because if you think about all the things.
Well,
he
it
had
wasn't a weekend. It was
No.
like a year and a half, wasn't
done.
it?
It was a little over a year and a half, and we stayed friends, and we remained in touch until the time he died.
Right.
Not many people know that. And, you know, we
Do you remember where you were the second you were?
oh, absolutely.
I
Was
do
that
too.
friends?
I was in
near.
Georgetown, driving in a car, and I heard it on the radio. I mean, I
It was
remember.
awful.
I remember
And
exactly.
I didn't think, you know, you think it can't be true.
Right.
And that's, you know, that's one of those things, and it's awful. But I do want to say that during the time that I was with him, not many people know this, but John achieved his only #1 single, which was whatever gets
Right.
you know, with his only #1 album, which was what, you know, Walls and Bridges.
Yeah.
That was the only time.
And that was when you were hanging out.
Yeah.
There you go. I love that song, Whatever Gets You Through the Night.
It was a lyric that he liked the line, and it was said by Reverend Ike when that was
So
preaching.
Imagine was not a #1
No.
hit. Isn't that weird?
Because it wasn't an anthem at that point.
Right. Oh, it
We
came
made
after.
it. Remember, everything came after he died.
Isn't that weird? It doesn't feel like it did.
It did.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so.
Well, I thank you so much for visiting, and
Thank
please
you.
come back anytime.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you, May Peng. Thank you. We'll be back with more on today's.